Hey, friends. Welcome to the Raising Boys and Girls podcast. I'm Sissy Goff.
And I'm David Thomas, and we're so glad you joined us for this conversation. Let's dive in.
Well, I am so sad we're coming to the end of this series.
So am I. I'm not ready for it to be over.
I'm not either, but my dog is climbing on the table beside you. Patches, get down. My dog is not the number we're about to talk about. If you could say dogs are numbers, mine is not this.
We neither one have a 9 dog. That is for certain.
But I am sad we're coming to the end of this. I have loved this series, and it's been so fun hearing your feedback. I've had a ball.
But give people some hope. We're going to come back and do what?
We're going to come back and do a wrap-up episode. And so whatever number you are, we're going to give you one final takeaway for yourself and one final takeaway for your kids. Maybe we'll throw in a few bonus things too.
Okay.
But next episode, we've got a great conversation with two human beings we love next that are wonderful 9s. And then we'll be doing the wrap-up episode. So stay with us. And then I'm just going to keep going with all the spoiler alerts. Then we're doing a series that we're super excited about. We have been having conversations between the two of us about concerns that we have that we're hearing from kids, we're hearing from parents. And so we wanted to do a mini series on what we feel like kids need right now the most. And we're going to throw in some of what you need too, but based on what we're talking about every day in our counseling offices. So get ready for what the kids need right now, series 2.
So a lot of good stuff is coming up. That's the summary statement to all that. And a whole lot of good stuff is coming up right now because we're here to talk about Enneagram 9s. And over the course of this podcast, you and I have both in different moments talked about numbers we most wish we could be. I think I've named my top 3 along the way, and first place goes to Enneagram 9s.
I was about to say, I could guess your top. Oh, I do know your top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at first place goes to 9s. I am fascinated how often I'm in a room with a lot of people and find my way to a 9. Like it's like I'm magnetically drawn to them. Like there's something about their energy. There's something about the peace. My all-time favorite thing about 9s is what I call their ease in moving through the world that I want to be in close proximity to. And ironically, I'm sandwiched between 2 male 9s. I have a dad who's a 9 and I have a son who's a 9. And
who are both amazing human beings.
I couldn't be crazier about them as people if I tried. And clearly it skipped a generation. So I'm like a firework in between these two people who have an ease in the world. And it is fascinating to me what I learned by just observing them. And so it's where I'm super excited. We're about to spend the whole episode talking about 9s.
Well, and I want to add, when we went and learned from Suzanne this late summer, she talked about how our wings and how we may have talked about this even in our 9 interview, but we lean towards one wing in the first half of life. And so as a 1, that means my wings could be the numbers on either side, so 2 or 9. And I leaned heavily towards 2, first half of life. Counseling has worked all the 2 out of me. I don't have any left. 2s, I love you. I don't feel the need to be needed anymore at all. But then she talks about how the second half of life, you have access to the other wing in a whole new way. And I was sitting next to your sweet wife, Connie. Last night we went to see Little Big Town's Christmas concert, which was amazing.
So good.
And something came up about being in our 50s. And I said, my 50s are my favorite decade. And I think a huge part of it is because I'm able to pick up 9 now.
Oh, makes so much sense.
Yes. I just am not as stirred up about the things I've always been stirred up about. I'm more laid back, hopefully, more peace. I love more peace. I love more calm. And so I'm gravitating towards more of that too in life. And I think it helps with the inner critic too.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes. 9s. We just want more of you. We want to be more of you.
Do.
All of those things. Okay, so 9s are often called the peacemaker, the harmonizer, or the comforter.
Yes.
Don't you just want somebody around who sounds like that? They bring calm, steadiness, and deep empathy into every space they enter. Their core motivation is to create peace and avoid conflict, which gives them some of the most relationally grounding strengths on the Enneagram. You want to jump off talking about some of the strengths?
We could honestly talk about the strengths of a 9 for hours on end, but we had to narrow it down. So
we love every number, y'all.
We do.
We love every number, but yes.
Here's a perfect example of why we love 9s. They are peacemaking and conflict soothing. I love that language. 9s naturally bring calm to tense situations. And huge part of it is their capacity to see both sides. They have a unique superpower in that space. And we need a lot of that in our world right now.
Yes, we do.
They help others feel heard, understood, and settled. They are often the emotional glue that holds families and groups together.
9s are deeply empathetic and accepting. They see, as David said, many sides of a situation. And not only that, but they extend grace easily because of that. People feel safe with 9s because 9s are slow to judge and quick to understand.
Loyal and steady. First two words I would use to describe my 9 dad or my 9 son.
Yes.
Loyal and steady. When a 9 commits, they are solid and dependable. Their presence is consistent, grounding, and faithful over time.
9s are easygoing and adaptable. 2 words that would never describe an Enneagram 1, which we both are if you've missed that episode. But I'm trying to pick that up. 9s go with the flow better than most types. They help groups adapt to change, including their own family, without escalating stress or conflict.
Great. They are also excellent listeners. They truly listen without interrupting, correcting, or rushing people. Others often
also cannot be said about a 1.
Others often feel valued simply by being heard by a 9.
I still remember Kathleen, I'm sure I've told you this story, in her car seat in the back seat, my sister who's 16 years younger than I am. And I bet she was 3. She called me Kiki at this point, and getting in the car and her saying, Kiki, why are we always in such a hurry? Doesn't that feel like a statement for a 1 and not a 9?
True that.
Needed 9 back then. 9s are fair and perspective-oriented. 9s instinctively hold space for multiple viewpoints, which, back to your comment earlier, we certainly need in our world more of today. They help families and communities avoid extremes and find balanced solutions.
7, they are a calming presence. Being around a healthy 9 feels grounding and safe. Their calm nervous system helps regulate the emotions of others, especially children. And you know what is fascinating? I think we even joked about this. I don't remember if we were still recording when we had our interview with the 2 9s that we can't wait for you to hear from and learn from. But I think we commented on the fact that our heart rate felt slower after conversation with them. Like it legitimately regulated my system just to sit in their company and listen.
No one's ever said their heart rate was slower from being with me.
I send a lot of people's heart rate up.
And lastly, they just emanate this gentle, steady love. 9s express love in quiet, faithful ways, showing up, supporting quietly, being there without needing attention.
All right. Now, as is true with every number, there are not only strengths but struggles. So let's talk through some of the struggles of the Enneagram 9s. First, avoiding conflict at all costs. 9s will often stay quiet, agree outwardly, or go along with things just to keep the peace. Suzanne Stabile talks about how they go along to get along. Isn't that a great phrase that's true about
statement.
9s? Even when something deeply matters to them. So you might not see evidence of that in their face. We might not hear evidence of that in their words, but it's going on inside of them. And they're working inwardly and outwardly to keep the peace. So over time, this can create hidden resentment or disconnection from their true desires.
9s also can struggle with losing themselves in others. And we sometimes call it merging, that they merge with others. They are so accommodating that they forget to name or honor their own opinions, needs, or preferences. They may struggle to answer simple questions like, what do you want? And I I'm in a Bible study with several women that we've been together for years, and one is a 9, several are 9s. And one said, "I often don't even know what I feel until the next day." And we brought that up in our interview with the 9s, and they said the next day, "Oh, it's more like the next week."
Wow.
And it's that sense of I'm so aware of attending to everyone else's feelings, needs, perspectives around me that I can't even find mine. And so we'll come back to that, but that's a really important task for a 9.
Third is procrastination and inertia. We're going to actually camp out here right now and then a little bit later, because I don't know that I talk more with parents of 9 kids about anything more than this. Like, it's kind of in the top tier of things they struggle with, particularly if you are a parent in the aggressive stance and you move fast and you think fast and you operate in the world fast, and 9s move slow. They often move slow. They talk slow. They think slow sometimes. And they're incredibly intelligent people. They just need to process. And so we often, to Sissy's point earlier, don't give them the time, kids who are 9s, the time they need. And the slowing down sometimes turns to a halt. And we'll talk about stubbornness in a few minutes. But this procrastination and this inertia to just slow down can be a great challenge in the context of parenting. We'll come back to it. But because change feels disruptive, 9s can get stuck emotionally, mentally, or practically. They may delay hard conversations, decisions, or tasks because starting feels overwhelming.
I'm glad you talked about that. So they also can have difficulty accessing anger. Anger for a 9 can feel unsafe. And so instead of expressing it directly, it can come out sideways as stubbornness, passive resistance, or even emotional numbness. And if you have a 9 in your life, the light bulb just went off. And part of what's tricky about that is because 9s do feel so gentle and peaceful, I think it often takes a minute to realize that's what's going on. And it can feel like a surprise to us. And so if you're in a relationship with a 9, that's a really important conversation to have, because we want to help them learn to talk about that more directly, but they're going to need our help learning to do so.
Well, and I think, to your great point, Sissy, people are often so shocked to learn that 9s are in what's referred to as the anger triad. So 8s, 9s, and 1s. We are all next door neighbors, and we are all in what's called the anger triad. And no one is unsure how 8s and 1s landed in that triad, but people are deeply confused. How in the world could that be true of 9s who have such an ease in the world? But it is, I learned that an 8's anger is direct and often outward. A 1's anger is more internal and turns to resentment, seething resentment oftentimes. And a 9's anger is more passive aggressive, as Sissy just said. So it isn't as seen. It isn't as obvious. I'd even argue it isn't as often. Like, I don't think we see 9s hold in so much of their anger, and when it shows up, we all know it's there. Like, you're never unsure, I think, when a 9's anger is in the room, but it's so delayed, it's so not frequent that it's jolting when it comes out and shows up, whereas we're just not as surprised when we see the 8 and 1's anger. So there's also a disconnection from their own desires. 9s often struggle to identify what they truly want. They may feel foggy, flat, or disconnected when asked to take initiative or choose a direction.
9s can lean toward avoiding hard emotions, not just anger, but similar to anger and conflict, just intense emotions in general can feel threatening to their inner calm. And so as a result, they may numb out with sleep, screens, food, routine, or comfort types of behaviors. And we want to pay a special attention to this with the kids that we love that lean towards 9.
They often have trouble with assertiveness. Even when they do know what they want, speaking up can feel really risky to a 9. They may fear that asserting themselves will create tension or push people away.
9s often delay growth or change. Because comfort feels safe to a 9, they may settle for less than they're capable of, which we see with kids a lot. staying in stagnant routines, unfulfilling rhythms, or roles even that don't fit anymore. And I would add relationships.
Yes.
I think a lot of times they don't want to take risks there.
So true. So kind of bottom line in summary to all that is that Enneagram 9s struggle most not with too much anger, but with hiding it. Not with not caring, but with caring so much that they lose themselves in the process. Their growth comes from learning that their voice, their needs, and their desires truly matter.
Mm.
And now a quick break to hear from one of our awesome sponsors so that we can bring you all this great content.
David, I cannot believe the holidays are already here. How's your house coming along?
Well, Sissy, let's just say Wayfair has been at our house more than the mailman lately. Connie started by ordering new lamps for our bedroom and then decided the guest bedroom needed matching ones too.
Oh no, did it stop there?
Oh, not even close. Next came new bedding, then a rug. At this point, I think she's building a Wayfair showroom in our house.
Well, at least she's festive. I did the same thing, but at the lake house. I went on Wayfair just to browse and somehow ended up with 3 giant inflatables for the lawn. My nephews think I've lost my mind and they love it.
I bet Whit and Henry are thrilled. But honestly, Wayfair made it easy. Fast shipping, free delivery, even on the big stuff. I ordered lamps on a Tuesday. They were at our door before the weekend.
And it's the one-stop shop. Bedding, decor, gifts for everyone, it is all there.
Get last-minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home.
That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
And now back to the show.
Okay, let's talk about Enneagram 9 parents and your strengths specifically that you bring to your kids' worlds, which is so important and so vast, as we have mentioned. So, number 1, you create a peaceful, emotionally safe home, which it's interesting. I was just thinking about a girl that I know who was in middle school when she said to me, school is so hard and there's so much happening that I need home to be my safest place. And 9s, you create that automatically. It just flows out of who you are and the peace that you carry inside of you. And so you are calming, steady, and non-reactive, which again, kids need more than ever. We need more than ever in this world. Your presence lowers the emotional temperature in the home, and you help kids feel safe to be themselves, even in the hard moments. Kids with Enneagram 9 parents learn big feelings are okay here.
Enneagram 9 parents are also deeply accepting and non-judgmental. They offer unconditional acceptance. Their kids feel love for who they are, not just for what they achieve or how they behave. And kids of 9 parents learn, I don't have to earn love. I already have it. What an incredible thing to offer a child.
Yes. And you are steady, faithful, and consistent. And in this world of so many kids who are battling anxiety, we cannot overstate the importance of those characteristics for you. You may not be flashy, but you are incredibly present and reliable. You show up day after day with quiet commitment, which builds deep trust and security. Kids learn, my parent is always here for me.
All right, we're going to flip it. It's time to talk about kind of top 3 struggles of Enneagram 9 parents. So a lot of grace as we talk this through, all right? Avoiding conflict instead of addressing it. I have seen that show up a lot in my work. I had a conversation not long ago with a mom who identifies as a 9, and she was wisely aware my husband and I are playing good cop, bad cop around technology, and I just cannot be the person who enforces the limits. I'm okay to join him in setting the limits, and I remember saying to her, you got to set and enforce. Like, they need to experience that with both of you, but that is a classic area where I think could show up a lot of areas. 9 parents deeply want peace, but that can lead to sidestepping necessary tension, like discipline, tough conversations, or as we just discussed, boundary setting. Kids may feel confused when issues aren't clearly named or resolved.
I think along those lines, David, I have seen a lot of kids over the years who are themselves in the aggressive stance.
And what are those numbers?
The numbers are 3, 7, 8, but I'm going to add ones because we're not in the aggressive
stance. Known as the fourth
stance.
Aggressive number sometimes.
Right. And there is a phenomenon I have watched over time with girls in particular. I would be curious if you said this is true about boys too, that when girls feel like the strongest person in their home or with one parent, they often end up resenting that parent. Because I think there's this sense of, I need you to be stronger than I am.
Yes.
And nines, I believe they might even push you harder to see if you can communicate you're not the strongest person in the room. And we talk so much about how boundaries create security for kids and too much power creates insecurity. And we would add to this point resentment. And so nines, it is going to be hard for you to set and maintain boundaries, just like David's talking about. But your kids need it so desperately because not only could they end up resentful towards you, but I think they don't learn how to not be the strongest person in the room. And any of us who are in the aggressive stance or almost need to know that's not always a healthy place to be. And so for you to be able to rise up and still communicate all the things that you do so naturally and so beautifully, you're safe here, all emotions are welcome, and you're not bigger and stronger than I am. I'm the grown-up in the room. And I think sometimes they can interpret gentleness and peacefulness as weakness, which is not who you are. And so just to give some time thinking about how can, even if it's choosing your battles and not entering into the fray every time, but still that your child knows that they can be secure within the safety of your boundaries and strength.
Well, and let me add some good news to what Sissy's saying. When Sissy talked earlier about we've got access to the wings on both sides, what we've talked about before and we would want to remind you of again is we all have a stress and security number that we move toward. And so I often will say to 9 parents, you get to travel to 3. And that's an incredible number with a lot of strengths and gifts that aren't as intuitive to you. And I say that to 2 parents. You can travel to 8.
Yes.
And when you travel to 8 and to 3 and to 7, you've got all the stamina and strength you need to be able to navigate life with your aggressive stance children. So that's important, encouraging news too.
And as you're saying that, David, I think I didn't know as much what that meant probably until this summer. And there are times we travel to 7, which is a whole lot of fun. And there are times that I will genuinely think before I enter a situation, what would it look like for me to show up with more of my 7-ness in this moment? And so it is certainly something you can think through, pray towards, lean into with an intentional, conscious effort that I don't think we realized we can do. We necessarily would know as much.
It's such good news, isn't it?
It is such great news, yes. 9 parents can struggle with losing your voice in the family, and especially if you have some loud, aggressive stance children. And what happens is you become so focused on everyone else's needs that you can forget to name your own. And as a result, children may not always know what you think, want, or feel, and your kids want to know you. And so take the time to center yourself and get back to that place where you know. And we're going to talk more about that. Our guests talk about that in a really great way. So listen to our next episode.
Okay, 9 parents, you also can struggle with follow-through and motivation. Because 9s resist disruption and change, they can get stuck in procrastination or inertia, especially with routines, discipline, and making decisions. This can lead to inconsistency that children actually experience, and Sissy spoke well to this, as insecurity sometimes. So what it can feel like for kids is sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. And they need the consistency, which creates a lot of security.
Top 3 growth priorities for an Enneagram 9 parent. Let's talk about those. Number 1, we want you, just with everything we're saying, to use your voice even when it feels uncomfortable. Your desire for peace is beautiful, but real peace includes honesty. Growth is choosing to speak up about your needs, your opinions, your boundaries, and the boundaries that your kids need too. It matters because your kids learn that they can handle truth and that their voices matter too when you use yours.
All right. Second area of growth, practice follow through and consistent leadership. Because as we've discussed, you can struggle with inertia, especially around those routines, discipline, and decisions. Growth is following through on what you'd say, holding steady boundaries, and leading even when it feels uncomfortable. Why this matters is because consistency makes kids feel safe, and your calm, steady leadership becomes an anchor.
Okay, number 3. Kids need you to stay present in conflict instead of shutting down. And it's going to feel like the most natural thing in the world for you to shut down. When tension rises, that's going to be your instinct. Growth looks like staying emotionally engaged, naming hard feelings, and choosing connection over escape. And why this matters is your kids learn that conflict doesn't equal disconnection. It can actually deepen the relationship.
All right, let's talk about 3 ways an Enneagram 9 parent can extend grace to themselves.
Yes.
1, grace to use your voice without feeling guilty. 9s often feel like speaking up disrupts the peace, and grace is reminding yourself it's okay for my needs to matter too. Your voice brings clarity and actually strengthens connection in your family.
Also, grace to not keep everyone happy all the time. You naturally absorb the emotional atmosphere of your home. Grace is releasing the idea that you must fix every feeling or hold all the harmony. I can love my family without managing their emotions. It's something we want you to learn to say to yourself. It frees you when you can, and it frees them too.
Those of you who are watching on YouTube saw me look over my shoulder because Sissy just gave us a great reminder that is, you can't make everyone happy. You're not a taco. 3rd, grace to take small steps when you feel stuck. Inertia and overwhelm, as we've discussed, are real struggles for 9s. Grace is choosing compassion over self-criticism when motivation is low. Small steps count. Slow movement is still movement. This helps you re-engage without shame.
That's so good. Okay, a mantra for a 9 parent. You know, we love mantras. So what we want you to say to yourself over and over is my voice matters, my presence matters, and my leadership matters in the home and outside the home too. My voice, my presence, my leadership all matter.
Okay, it's a great transition into 3 things we want to remind every Enneagram 9 parent. Number 1, there it is again. We want you to know your voice matters. Your peacemaking presence is a gift, but your opinions, needs, and leadership matter too. And you all, I, years ago, met a gentleman who became a good friend, and he was a 9. And I remember saying to him how much I wanted to be a 9. And I commented on how much I enjoy his company and how much I imagine people would tell him or experience that often. And he said to me one time, which is incredible, he goes, it cost a lot to offer that for me sometimes. Isn't that profound?
Wow.
Like, the peace everybody enjoys is a costly piece for me at times.
Wow.
And so great reminder that that's a part of what's going on inside the 9s that we love. And we want you to take up space in your family with confidence, not apology. And your kids don't just need your calm, they need your clarity.
We want you to believe and know that conflict won't cost you connection. You avoid often having hard conversations to protect relationship. We want you to discover that healthy conflict can actually deepen connection, not destroy it. You don't have to disappear to keep the peace.
We want you to step fully into your quiet leadership. You don't lead with volume or force. You lead with steadiness, faithfulness, and calm strength. I would even argue, I think our world needs to see more of that kind of leadership.
Yes.
We want you to trust that your leadership is real, powerful, and deeply needed in your home. Your consistency is your superpower.
Okay, let's shift a little for a minute and talk about if you might be raising an Enneagram child. And I don't know that we have said that every week on Instagram on Raising Boys and Girls and Sissy Goff, we're doing videos with one thing we want parents to know. Who are that number? This week, I'm going to talk specifically about something that I see happen with girls who are 9s. So make sure you're listening here and watching in those places too. So, number one, if you're raising an Enneagram 9 child, we want you, just like you're learning yourself if you're a 9, we want you to help them learn to find and use their voice. And it is both, because they have a hard time even knowing what their voice would be, what their voice would look like so often when they're growing up. 9 kids naturally go along with others and may struggle to name what they need or want. What they need from you, gentle questions. What do you think? What do you want? And like we talked about, maybe on Instagram, maybe I can't remember if it was on the podcast or Instagram, getting low if you're an 8 parent. If you're an aggressive stance, gentle questions. That gentle word is really important because you can spook a 9 pretty quickly. And so questions with a lot of grace and gentleness. And encouragement from you to disagree safely, that it's okay for them to have a different opinion than you do. And that we would celebrate when they speak up, even in small ways. Again, not to make too big of a decision, because I think sometimes they can go more into their shell like a turtle, but to really encourage and remind them how proud you are of them every time they use their voice. And why that matters is we want them to learn early that their opinions and their presence matters.
So good. Can I add one more gentle question?
Yes,
that
please.
I think I have seen be a great place of growth for a lot of 9 kids over the years, is asking them what restaurant do they want to go to. And the waiting for them to choose that restaurant, where other kids who aren't 9 could make that decision real fast and overpower a 9 who would be fine to just say, that's fine, just let them choose. But I think the waiting them out is a great practice for 9 kids, because it's just harder often for them to make decisions. And I have a vivid memory of, I think I've told you the story, we used to have family movie nights when my kids were little, and we would sometimes stop by Walgreens on the way after school, and everybody got to pick out one like movie candy. And 2 of my 3 kids ready to check out in 30 seconds, and my amazing 9 son standing at the candy aisle, picking one up, putting it back, picking another one up, putting it back. I mean, it was painful to watch sometimes. And it was like, what if I picked the wrong one? What if I picked the wrong one? And everything in me as a one parent wanted to hurry him right along. And I'm like, hey, you love that one. You ate that one last time, as opposed to just the waiting that I think is so important for them and the decision making. So let them pick a restaurant.
Wow.
2, teach them that conflict doesn't mean disconnection. 9 children often believe that tension equals loss of relationship, and what they need, which is why they merged, to Sissy's great words earlier. What they need from you is calm repair after conflict, reassurance like we're okay even when we disagree, modeling healthy disagreement. I heard those wise words this week. I love over and over being reminded this. I can disagree without being disagreeable. And we have a lot of people in the world who operate under that belief. So these 9 kids need to see that. Modeling healthy disagreement. Why it matters, because they learn they don't have to sacrifice themselves to keep the peace.
Ooh, that's good. Third, we want to gently nudge them out of inertia and into action. The Enneagram Made Easy is a book we've loved around here for a long time that we sometimes use with kids. And one of the statements in it is, if I'm going, it's easy to keep going, but I sometimes have a hard time getting started, which is so true for 9s and kids in particular. And 9 kids can get stuck in comfort, passivity, and avoidance. And what they need from you are clear expectations, loving follow through, and encouragement to take initiative. And I might add, sometimes incentivizing initiative with kids who are 9s. And why it matters is they grow then into confident, engaged leaders instead of kids who fade into the background.
So bottom line is, raising a 9 means helping them use their voice, stay engaged in conflict, and step into action, all without losing their beautiful gift of peace. And you were going to read something.
I think if there was a quote for a 9, this might be it, from Mother Teresa. It's one of my favorites. Says, do not think that love, in order to be genuine, has to be extraordinary. What we need is to love without getting tired. Be faithful in small things because it is in them that your strength lies.
That's as beautiful a way as we could have hoped to end this conversation.
Nines, you're amazing.
Yes, you are.
David, what a team we have that we get to call friends who help make this podcast possible. Chris Starrett, our engineer.
Our management team at KCH.
And we are thrilled to be a part of the That Sounds Fun network.
Our music was created by the insanely talented Dave Haywood of Lady A.
And if this podcast felt helpful to you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all the things.
We are grateful for you and cheering you on always.